Good day to you, ma'am. Is there something I can do for you?
I thought we could just talk for now, you know. You can make a little time for civilians now and then, am I right? Actually, I was wondering if there was anything I could do for you. Yep, let's talk.
For me? No, I'm really not in need of anything at the moment. But thanks. I appreciate it.
It's not a problem, really. I just wanted to let you know I think you're doing an excellent job. I guess I just figured since you were standing guard over the crime scene all day, there might be something you wanted. Oh, you're welcome. I'll just try to do whatever I can to help out our boys in blue. After all, you're the ones that keep things like this from happening again.
You know what? I'm glad you see it that way. Because I don't think we get enough respect around here. Because I take my job seriously, whereas other people might not do that in my position.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you mean. Are other people? What do you mean by that?
Like some people would slack off if they were here guarding a crime scene. But not me. That's not how I do things. I don't even care if they have 2 primary suspects and only a few facts. I plan to work just as hard here as if I were out trying to find more leads in the case.
There are only 2? I would have thought they'd have more than that by now. How very vigilant of you. Yep, I'm still with you. Those 2 suspects and the details of the case wouldn't even faze me.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. There were 2 guys walking around the neighborhood that night. Yeah, there were 2 ex-cons in the area. Heck, on this very street. And yeah, they were even verified to be in the vicinity when the murder occurred at 11 p.m. that night. But it doesn't matter to me. Investigation wasn't my assignment. The rest of the squad can deal with finding information about Michael Solis and Carlos Delfino. I'm just fine out here. Personally, this is what I think happened.
Oh, please. There's no way. First of all, he didn't even land there. He was on the porch. There's chalk next to your foot, homie. Looky.
And oh, to answer your original question about whether I need anything, well, now that you mention it, it does get a little cold around here at night.
Can I finally make the chili? Then you better be sure to bundle up. Alright then, keep up the good work. Well, isn't that something?
Yeah, so, bye then, I guess.
Can I make him chili? I want to make him some chili. Two's company? What is this? Carl hasn't been getting much attention lately. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to be a good girl right now. Okay, let's talk to Mike. I really want to make some chili for him. I mean, it makes sense. Firehouse, he's a policeman. Except, Firehouse is more for firemen. But whatever. They're still in... I'll just stop talking. Give me a recipe, Mike. I want your recipe for chili.
Hey there. What's going on?
This is way more important than anything else. I'll cut to the chase with you, Mike. I need some answers. Hey, Mike, I wanted to talk to you about a few things. Not too much, really. Just stopped in to ask a question or 2.
So you're a woman on a mission, huh? I like that. Well, I'm not in much of a talking mood right now. I figured you had something quick you wanted to bring up.
Oh, Mike, you don't even need to go into it. I've been in your shoes. It's alright, Mike. We all feel the same way you do. That's understandable. Different people deal with stressful situations in different ways.
Ah, so you know where I'm coming from. Good. I can't tell you how many times that jerk's told me he was going to do something and then completely flaked on me.
The fuck is he talking about? That must have happened pretty often for you to still be so upset about it. Jerk, you mean Daniel? Are we talking about the same person, Daniel Fox?
Exactly. Like just the other day, Mr. Famous Fashion Designer asked me to stop by and look at a leaky faucet at his place. I had some things planned that day, but I decided to be a good neighbor and make time for him. Granted, it wasn't until later in the day that I came by, but still, I was doing him a favor. It's only common courtesy that he's around when I stop by. When I called ahead to check and see if he'd let me in, he's not home. Then Susan called me up and invited me over for an early supper. Since I figured Daniel would call at any minute and rescue me from Susan's chattering, I agreed to have dinner with Julie and Susan. Dinner became dessert, became coffee. No call from Daniel. By the time I was able to escape, it was pretty late. I figured Daniel would call to apologize the next day.
So you didn't even see Daniel that night then, did you? Mike, about when did that happen? Strange, so you were saying the last time you talked with Daniel was earlier in the day?
We spoke in the morning, but I didn't get a hold of him for the rest of the day. But nothing since. Not on my cell phone, and nothing since I'm back in town. It's like he just dropped off the face of the earth, which is a bit of a relief, because he's such a pain in the butt. But I know he's gonna call. He always does. Probably just when I'm about to fall asleep tonight.
You really don't know, do you? Daniel won't be getting back to you unless you have a seance. Mike, I think that in Daniel's current state, it'll be unlikely he'll be hearing from him for quite some time. Yeah, and there's a really good reason for that.
Wait, what are you getting at?
Daniel was killed a few nights ago, Mike. Mike, Daniel Fox is dead. He was murdered. A few nights ago, Daniel was brutally killed.
That's not the kind of thing you joke about.
It's the truth, and I'm trying to help find the killers because I don't think the police have any idea what they're dealing with. I'm not joking, Mike. It happened at 11 p.m. on the same night you left town, and right now I'm talking to everyone, trying to get some answers. You're right, it isn't. I'm serious, and in fact, I'm trying to do something about it. What else can you tell me about that night?
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, you must feel like a pretty big fucking jerk, huh?
I already told you everything I know. I was with Susan and Julie that night. Sort of a dinner and kidnapping combined, since Susan didn't seem to want to let me leave. Anyway, I left around 11. As soon as I walked in the door, Susan called me and then proceeded to talk my ear off for an hour or so. You know how she can get.
Yep, sure do. Yep, she has some issues. Susan just has a lot to say, that's all. If Susan or Julie stayed up late that night, maybe they can tell me more. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to Susan next. Maybe she'll have some new information. Sounds like I need to check in with Susan and Julie then. I'll be seeing you, Mike.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Give me your fucking chili recipe. This is more important than anything. Dude, the chili. Fuck you, man. This sucks. I want that fucking chili. I want to give it to the nice cop. Susan, do you know his recipe? Julie, you're not the one I want to talk to.
Oh, hey. If you're looking for my mom, she's in the kitchen.
Great, thanks, sweetie. Thanks, Julie. I sure am, thanks. What was the point of that? There was no point to that. Like, absolutely no point.
You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. How are you dealing with everything that's been going on?
At the moment, finding out the details of that horrible night is what's taking up the most of my time right now. Me, I'm holding up alright. I'm looking for some closure regarding Daniel's murder investigation. I'm okay, I guess. Right now I'm just trying to figure out what happened the night that Daniel was murdered.
Don't you think that kind of job is best left to the police?
Technically, yes, but I have the feeling they don't have a clue as to what happened that night. That's where I come in. I get the feeling they're barking at the wrong tree. The police, they can do whatever they like. It doesn't matter to me. I'm running my own investigation.
Uh-huh. And I suppose you have a plan to get to the bottom of things.
Well, I talked with Mike a little while ago. He said he was over here and didn't even know that a murder even happened. Despite that, they still think he had something to do with it. Not exactly, but I know right now that Mike is a suspect, and I figured you'd want to help clear his name. Actually, I found out what the police know and started asking around to see what I could contribute. I just talked to Mike and he pointed me in your direction.
Mike? You don't really think they believe Mike did it, do you?
For all I know, they just might. What were the two of you up to that night anyways? You never know. In this case, they do. In case they do, could you tell me what you saw that night? You were with Mike, right? Who knows? For our own peace of mind, we should figure out what happened. I'm starting with you guys.
Right. Actually, there were 3 of us here. Me, Mike, and Julie.
Hey, what's going on, Mom?
We were just talking about Daniel Fox.
Oh man, I still can't believe that happened right down the street. How's Mr. Fox holding up? I haven't seen him since before the incident.
Edie mentioned that the police took him in. Not as a suspect, but to protect him. But that's not the weird part, Julie. Mike is considered a suspect.
Mike? But he was here that night. I remember because you did everything in your power to stop the poor guy from going home.
Julie, you're being silly. It's just that it was late, and I was worried about him walking home alone at that hour.
Mom, he lives across the street. The poor man drank 4 nightcaps trying to be polite. Then as soon as you saw him walk into his house, you called him on the phone.
As it turns out, this is a dangerous neighborhood. I wanted to make sure that he got home safely.
Is that why you talked to him for almost an hour on the phone?
Oh, give me a break, Julie. Who's been on the phone every night this week gossiping about people at school?
Is it my fault that Danielle Vandekam gives it up to any boy who asks? I'm just doing the right thing and spreading the word.
Oh my god.
By now, I'm sure you're not the only one that knows that.
I'm sure lots of people know by now.
Well, let's move on now. We're getting a bit off the topic at hand. Back to Mike.
What else is new?
Look, we can't let the police think he had anything to do with Daniel's death. It's just ridiculous.
From what you told me, unless Mike has an evil twin brother, he's in the clear. You just told me Mike was on this end of Wisteria Lane, Wisteria the night the murder took place. Well, it sounds like you're his alibi, Susan. There's no way he could have been at the Fox house if he was with you that night.
I guess you're right. Well, problem solved then.
I still have some other things to take care of, so I'll be on my way now. Now that we've straightened that out, I gotta be going. Well, I'm out of here, and investigator's work is never done.
All right. See you around.
Now what? Now I need to talk to Carlos. Knock. They were probably having, like, crazy raunchy sex all night. Like, Paul probably heard the screaming, and he's probably gonna report that he, like, masturbated while he heard them doing it. Hello?
Hey.
Can I stop in for a minute? I came by to talk to you. Hi, Carlos. I wanted to talk to you for a minute. Carlos, you're just the person I wanted to talk to.
You came by to talk to me?
Carlos, who is it?
Why don't you come out here and find out for yourself?
Why do you always have to have something smart to... Oh, hi.
I assume this isn't a good time to talk. Hi, I didn't mean to interrupt anything. I just wanted to ask you guys a few questions. Actually, I just had some questions about Daniel Fox, but I guess it could wait. Maybe I could come back later?
No, we're fine. Why don't you come inside for a minute? Daniel's murder did have us all a bit shaken up. It's still hard to believe.
It's unfortunate that something like that had to happen to Daniel. He had his whole life ahead of him.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I plan on doing something about it. Yeah, that's the reason I'm here. The police don't seem to regard this as a big case. You're right, it is. What's worse is that the investigation doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Wait a second. What does Daniel's death have to do with us?
Yeah, what can we tell you that we didn't tell the police? We didn't see anything.
I have reason to believe that they're going to suspect Carlos because of his prior convictions. The police seem to think the assailants had some ties to Wisteria Lane, so they're investigating 2 people who live on Wisteria Lane. You're one of them, Carlos. Well, you need to tell me everything because the police are looking into everyone on our block, and since you have a criminal record...
They suspect me. I went to jail for embezzlement, for Christ's sakes. I'm not a violent man.
I don't think they need a reason. They're just looking for an easy target, and you, Carlos, have a bullseye on your forehead. Well, there was an incident with that cable man. It had something to do with certain preferences. They know you were around the time murder took place.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I am not a homophobe. That was a misunderstanding.
Yeah? Well, they're wrong. Carlos would never do anything to hurt Daniel. I know for a fact that he couldn't have that night. We were both home and in bed by 11.
Does everyone around here make a habit of being out late? That's late? You were out that night too, Gabby? Ah, so Carlos wasn't the only one out that night.
Actually, I wasn't exactly following my normal routine that night. See, earlier in the day, Carlos tried to drag me into another one of his charity benefits.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not talking to you, sweetie. Stay out of it.
Listen, honey, she came over here to talk to me.
Carlos doesn't want you to know that he threw a fit because I didn't want to go to his little party. Oh, we fought about it for hours. Then we had the makeup sex. Then we fought again. Then more makeup sex.
Yeah, we didn't make the charity event, but I definitely gave it my all. As did Gabby.
Oh, Jesus.
For your information, I had a number of appointments scheduled that day with a number of business professionals.
Uh-huh, and which professional was it this time? Henri? Pierre? That guy with the mole?
It's called a beauty mark, and that doesn't make him any less of a professional. Anyway, I had to keep my appointments and wound up pushing my workout back to the end of the day. So, I didn't go for my run until much later that night. And Carlos came home right after I did. We were together for the rest of the night.
Yeah, we still had some issues to resolve. Upstairs, if you know what I mean.
Carlos, have you ever heard of such a thing as too much information? I just remembered something else from that night. It involved whipped cream, strawberries.
My God. Well, wow, that planted a lovely image in my head, but I still need to know if you two saw or heard anything unusual that night. Okay, not that I don't find this fascinating, but if both of you were in your house, who exactly was wandering around Wisteria on the night of the murder? Definitely too much information, but at least I found out that neither one of you was involved.
Actually, when I was running back home, I thought I saw 2 people milling around your house. It was pretty dark. I guess my eyes could have just as well been playing tricks on me.
Did you tell the police what you saw?
No? Why would I tell them that? I could have been seeing trees blowing in the wind or something.
That's the kind of thing you tell them, even if you're not sure. This way they can investigate. That's what they do, Gabby. Well, I definitely didn't see anything out of the ordinary that night. I'm sorry I can't help you out any further.
Why are you apologizing to her for not seeing anything? God, Carlos, you can be such a wimp sometimes.
Looks like you two might have some more baking up to do. Sounds like I should look into who was sneaking around my house that night. Talk to you later. Strange that something odd like that happens at my own house and I didn't hear anything about it. I'm definitely going to look into that right away.
And another thing, Carlos.
Alright.